Right. Evening, everyone. We are awaiting some news regarding Lewis Hamilton's car. um, I'm sure some of you may be aware, but at the moment we're basically just waiting for some results. We've still got no decision from the stewards regarding an issue with Lewis Hamilton's rear wing from his qualifying lap, his pole lap, his pole car that saw him take pole for the Brazilian Grand Prix, by 4 tenths ahead of Max Verstappen. And to quote Crofty, the momentum was swinging the way of Mercedes and Hamilton for some period of time. But let's just give a quick run through of what's happening so far. So we got a couple of hours ago, about 3 hours ago, we got news that Hamilton's under investigation for a DRS infringement during qualifying. Someone making a pun seems like an open and shut case to me. I'm all there for the puns. But basically, yeah, the issue is that the DRS flap, the minimum requirements were met for how open it can be. That was perfectly fine. So obviously, the gap that's actually open for the drag reduction system is limited to a certain size, obviously, because otherwise some teams will get a bigger advantage than others. And if you're running a slim rear wing, it varies depending on size. So there's a little bit of scope. Obviously, at a track like Sao Paulo, where you're relying, it's a fairly high downforce track in the first place for good chunks of it. It's nothing like Monza, for example. So basically what's happened is that Mercedes rear wing gap, the DRS, is apparently over the maximum allowed distance. Now, I think Daniel Ricciardo had something fairly similar or there was an incident where something on the car just wasn't quite right, and he was disqualified from a qualifying session a few years ago by a matter of like thousandth of a millimeter. It was a ridiculously small amount. There's a god. We're seeing apparently some news. We're gonna have to keep looking. I'll keep refreshing Luke's page to see if we have any news coming in. So this is the most recent news we've got from 6 minutes ago. We have the FIA has sent a document recapping scrutineering of the cars from FP1 and qualifying. Notes all parts checked in conformity apart from Hamilton's rear wing, which we continue to wait for news about. So apart from the uppermost rear wing element, adjustable positions of car number 44, so Lewis Hamilton's car, the Mercedes W12. See document 18. We do not have access to that. We could, but I have not. Basically all the above items were found to be in conformity with the 2021 FIA Formula 1 technical regulations. And something that we did see actually quite interesting. We are now into Wednesday. Something quite interesting we did see it was this video. So we saw Max at the end of qualifying. So credit to I assume it's from them. So Federico Montero. Saying that I caught Max checking the wings at the end of quali, so everyone go give Federico a follow. So here we can see Max checking the rear wing of that Mercedes W12, right where we've been seeing the issues. So it's quite interesting, and at the moment, to be fair, it could go either way. I think we're still waiting. So F1 Experience is on Twitter. Yes, we do have that part of news. The F1 Experiences have posted this part of the news, and surely, I mean, if this is a final steward's document, then they just haven't decided the penalty yet, potentially. Who knows? Let's keep giving it a refresh, see if anything's new. No, nothing new. So if it's saying that apart from the uppermost rear wing element, all the above items are found to be in conformity. So is that indicating straight away that rear wing is absolutely not in conformity, because this was released fairly recently, so I'm not entirely sure how long it normally takes the FIA to release documents like this from scrutineering, because obviously it's not something that gets posted very often. Not something we're used to seeing, actually, is an issue. It's an interesting one, definitely. Definitely an interesting one. So, this whole time, I have been on private. So, hello everybody. We have some, I guess, breaking news coming out the paddock to an extent. I mean, the issue is we don't, but yeah, that's what we're going at. So about 3 hours ago, we heard that, we heard from other sources as well, that Lewis Hamilton's car is under investigation for a DRS infringement during qualifying. Someone's made a horrific pun. Seems like an open and shut case to me. But yeah, then we next saw Mercedes a call to the stewards. That ended, I believe over an hour ago now, over about an hour and a quarter ago. So we are effectively waiting. We're waiting stewards, the FIA, for their decision. And someone in a group chat has just said the FIA just building suspense. But we see, this is an interesting video from Federico Montero on Twitter. This is his footage, so if you want to give him a follow, saying, I caught Max checking the wings at the end of quali. So that's FRD 182. So let's take a quick look at this. Right near the end, we see Max Verstappen heading over to the rear wing of that Mercedes W12, Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes W12. Just got himself on pole by 0.4 of a second, but Max definitely giving that a check, indicating it's something Red Bull have been aware about for a longer period of time. So this is, I think this is saying that, yeah, the Mercedes delegation left the studios office about 15 minutes ago. And that is, yeah, it's about an hour and a half ago now. Or about an hour 20 minutes or so. See if we've got anything from Chris Medland. No, 19 minutes ago. He's asking where everyone's watching from. Luke's got nothing. I doubt Lawrence will have a lot. Anything new? He's probably gone bed. Yeah, he's definitely gone bed. Fair play to him. I wish I was. But, you know, this is potentially massive news. Well, for the championship, basically. This is going to shape the championship, and potentially, you know, I'd quite like to be on when that decision is made. Unfortunately, if the FIA are deciding they would rather build some suspense or announce it in the morning, that would be moderately annoying. Have we got anything? So, I've seen an alternate theory of someone saying Max tampered with the Mercedes rear wing and forced it to fail scrutineering. I mean, mind you, to be fair, unless they have a camera directly on him, they can't, you know, Mercedes could argue that point. I'm not for a second thinking that Max has done that, but it's definitely potential. If I've propositioned any other grid slot or the pit lane, we're still waiting to hear what it will be. Thank you, Matt. That's really useful. But, yeah, I mean, we haven't got a lot of news at the moment. Let's go to Luke. Luke's Smith's page. He seems to be keeping up with it the most. Let's see if he's got anything more recent. There's absolutely nothing at the moment. So, you know, this is very much developing and could go either way. Basically, we could be effectively about to see the World Championship, the F1 2021 World Drivers and potentially Constructors Championship as well concluded. So, you know, this is potentially absolutely massive ramifications. Basically, the question is, when are the FIA going to announce? And, you know, I don't have that answer. Indications would be from... Oh, we'll see if Toby Gruner has anything, actually. He tends to update quite a bit. Where is... Yeah, here we go. This one. So this is the Mercedes delegation left the steward's office about 15 minutes ago. We wait quietly. That's not 15 minutes ago. That is about an hour and 20 minutes ago exactly now. So, I mean, could this longer period be indicative of the stewards? Someone said to me, could it be a situation a bit like with VAR in football? The longer it's being looked at, the less chance it has of being given. It's very potentially a marginal thing. But this, apart from the uppermost rear wing element adjustable positions of car number 44, see document 18, all the above items were found to be in conformity with the 2021 FIA Formula 1 technical regulations, which is very much normal. But, so, actually, I think it's probably worth a quick explanation of what the actual issue here is. So, on the rear wing, you have DRS, drag reduction system. I assume everyone knows that part. And effectively, there's a margin, there's a little bit of leeway that teams have on how big they decide to, how big a gap they want to have in the DRS flap when it's open. So the lower bound was fine. So Mercedes haven't got it too small. Not that would really give much benefit at all, unless maybe you had a corner that was a little bit more downforce reliant, with DRS active at the same time, but we don't tend to see those. After I think it was in 2019, I think it was, we tried that at like turn 1 and turn 2. There's a couple of crashes, so I don't think we'll be seeing that for a while more. Just basically destabilises the rear through and how the corners work. There's a video going around of Verstappen checking the rear wing at Parc Fermé, and the longer this goes on and doesn't appear so clear cut, I genuinely think if you're Mercedes, you're going to be asking if he touched a wing, that could have changed anything. I mean, to an extent, you know, we sort of said that as a joke. That was Chris Medland, I'm fairly sure. Let's see what he's... Let's actually see this tweet. Because he sort of has a point. If, you know, by saying... by saying that another driver has touched that car, Mercedes could swear blind. And if it passed the pre-session scrutineering for the weekend and it was fine, obviously Max Verstappen, I don't think for a second really, has tampered with that car. Absolutely not accusing him of that. But Mercedes can say, well, what if he did? There's no... Look, we've got evidence it's been fine in all the other races. We haven't changed anything. Same spec rear wing as we've used before. Which it probably is. We know for a fact Mercedes haven't been updating their car too much. Could it be a case where, effectively, tampering with the evidence, going anywhere near it for Max Verstappen, ends up in a roundabout way costing him the championship? So, you know, it's a big debate. Yeah, it's interesting. Definitely interesting for sure. Because, you know, if you're Mercedes, you probably have grounds there. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to constantly be updating for any more news, and it's a big thing. But effectively, actually, I didn't quite finish explaining what the actual issue is. So, the flap, it only has a certain size that it can be. So if you're... So yes, the lower bound was perfectly fine. So it wasn't too small, but it was too big. We don't know by what margin, but Bauer has, the head scrutineer has sent it. Here we go. So we're seeing a little bit. The requirement for the minimum distance was fulfilled, which we know. But the requirement for the maximum of 85 millimeters when a DRS system is deployed and tested in accordance with with TD 01119 were not fulfilled. Yeah, so obviously Bauer has referred them to the stewards, and we're not seeing a lot more from that at the moment. If we go back to Luke for a minute, actually I might open up 2 tabs. Is there a way to do that quicker? There's not a way to do it quicker. Oh, that's not gone well. Right. Yeah. So effectively, you know, this could have massive championship ramifications. It could, you know, we could be minutes away from seeing effectively a constructors and drivers championship decided. So we're just waiting on any news at the moment, and you know, The thing is as well that's quite interesting, obviously, apart from the Verstappen debate potentially tampering with it, plot twist, he has not tampered with it, but Mercedes can use the argument, oh, well, he might have touched it, and it was fine because it passed the pre-race scrutineering, or pre-session weekend scrutineering. But yeah, this is really interesting. So anyone in the chat, what do you all think? Think Lewis will start from the pit lane? Now I can start refreshing my screen and have someone here on stream to do it for me. Could really mess up his weekend if that's the case. Starting from pit lane plus grid penalty. Yeah, absolutely. Has there been official comment from the FIA yet, or is it still under investigation? So the only official comment we have from the FIA is effectively this one. So it's apart from the uppermost rear wing element adjustable positions of car number 44, see document 18, all the above items were found to be in conformity with the 2021 FIA Formula 1 technical regulations. So, you know, take the wording of that as you will, because it does say, apart from the uppermost rear wing element, it's in conformity. So is that effectively confirming that that rear wing does not conform? So are the FIA currently now deciding a punishment? For me, the longer this goes on, the more I think there's a genuine debate to be had. Or it's something that's going to... Obviously, it's going to have massive championship implications nonetheless. We're talking tens of millions of dollars here. Anything that affects Mercedes' points tally in the constructors' fight with Red Bull is going to affect tens of millions of dollars. So, you know, this is a massive decision. Pit lane start is the only penalty they can give him. Yeah, absolutely. He can't get a further grid drop or anything along those lines. So, obviously he has the 5-place grid drop already. So, worst case scenario here is going to be, I imagine, starting from the pit lane in the sprint race, then having to obviously work his way through the field, and then for the actual race, having the 5-place grid penalty applied. So, you know, he start in the pit lane, fight his way up to 12th, 11th in those, I think it's 27 laps or so, and then find himself back down in 17th or something along those lines. So, yeah, this could get a bit exciting. We'll have to see. Obviously, it doesn't look good. Let's put it that way. Just go head over to the chat. What does everyone think's going to happen? Obviously, we've got James in here saying pit lane start. And yeah, effectively, what we are doing is waiting for further confirmation. That is basically what's happening right now. I'm saving you all refreshing your Twitter feeds. Right, okay, we do have some news. So I'm going to quickly bring that up. I think Luke has tweeted it, in fact, so that saves me going to another account. We are seeing no decision from the FIA until the morning. Stewards are waiting further evidence. So, okay, that's interesting. That's really interesting. There's a lot to unload there. Further evidence in this case could be referring to previous weekends. Potentially old spec models to prove that everything's the same. Because obviously there's a very real chance that what happened is, I think in Q1, it was Q1 or Q2, car 44, Hamilton, he ran wide at the exit of turn 4. He had his lap deleted, but he also did run over. They're fairly aggressive curbs. And you could say, maybe, a part of the rear wing was damaged at that time. Verstappen wins sprint and the GP this weekend. Lewis is stuck in the midfield, and that's championship is Verstappen's. Absolutely, yeah. It's going to take more than a DNF to for Verstappen. I think at this point, a DNF isn't even looking that likely at all. Damage limitations for Lewis is probably best case scenario. 10th place for sprint race. Straight line speed will be key to getting him up. Absolutely, yep. Absolutely, indeed. So, I mean, this is interesting because it surely, if this is a case of, you know, this is not literally going to use a ruler, but this is a case where you get out a ruler, you get out your tape measure, and you go, yeah, it's too big, yes, it's too small. However, the issue is probably when the rear wing is actually under stress, which without putting the car on track and putting the G-force and the actual downforce through it, we can't see. So obviously there's some very high resolution cameras the FIA have access to. And I find this stewards awaiting further evidence really interesting. Actually, there's a lot that we can take from that. That's yeah, there's a lot to unpack from that. It's only a line and a half, but there's so many implications that could, like I said a minute ago, that could be a case of the teams now having to provide evidence of older parts meeting the requirements. So I don't know, or could this be another situation of, wait till the morning, Max could have tampered with the car. Obviously he hasn't done anything, but they have that argument. They can say, well, how do you know he hasn't? Or could him touching it have broken one of the flaps, which now makes it extend too big? There's big questions. What have we got here? Unless further evidence means, yes, exactly, that they want to screw. Yes. No. Until the morning, stewards are awaiting further evidence. So is that a case of Red? Well, first of all, the question is, obviously we know Joe Bauer was the one who referred the team to the stewards, but there were some reports earlier on of Adrian Newey, not Adrian Newey, well, someone from Red Bull basically going to, I can't remember exactly who it was, that's annoying me, going to the FIA and the stewards with a ton of documents about a lot of things with the rear wing. I think actually the debate on that was about flexing. And obviously flexi wings aren't allowed either after a little bit of debate earlier on in the season. I think Red Bull were accused of that until Azerbaijan. Ban Mercedes. It'll be interesting if Lewis's rear wing doesn't meet regulations. How much of an advantage? Well, right. So here's the thing. Realistically, the advantage that Hamilton would have gained, because there's two scenarios here. So either it was an accident, in which case an engineer's tried to set it to the maximum that it can go, and he's been half a millimeter off, a tenth of a millimeter off in his measurement. As easy as that. These teams, they've been working through the night last night. The curfew was actually waived, so these engineers aren't working on a lot of sleep at the moment. Something like a tenth of a millimeter could be all it takes, and in that case, we are talking over the course of a lap with DRS open, hundredths. We're not talking at all about the 4/10 that the Mercedes was on pole by. So that's the first really interesting point. Is look, if it was done, and that's the other thing. If it's done on purpose, they're not going to make it so much bigger that they're going to gain tenths of an advantage. Because if it's that much bigger, it's going to be found out incredibly easily. So, either way here, we are talking hundredths, if that, over the course of a lap. Now being an accident is an entirely plausible thing. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like you say, the freight situation was, it was delayed. There was teams with things stuck in, I think, Florida for quite a bit. So, at this point yesterday, teams didn't have gearboxes and engines. So, it's been a bit of a rush job. And I'm sure the Mercedes engineers will be trying to get a great night's sleep tonight. Something that I should probably be doing soon as it's 1 a.m, but I'm going to stick with this for just a little bit longer. I'm just going to see if there's any more news at all. A lot of people are taking this as Hamilton won't get a penalty, but I'm quite surprised by that. I don't like it being in the morning because we are talking... What time is it in Brazil at the moment? In Sao Paulo time. They're 4 hours behind? Sao Paulo time. They're only 3 hours behind. Okay, so that's not as bad as I thought. Meaning realistically, we could be 9-10 hours or so away from a decision. But the championship ramifications of this is absolutely ridiculous. It's such a crazy thought that in Mexico the Mercedes couldn't touch Max, and we've been struggling keeping Perez behind now. Yeah, you see, thing is, the Mexican track is at such a high altitude. The engine advantage we have seen from Mercedes all season was much less of an effect. that's why typically as well 2017, 18 and 19 we saw Mexico being a lot more favourable to Red Bull, who tend to be a better chassis but worse engine. And I don't think it's yes, they have improved here relative to Mexico. Sure, they give a tolerance outside limit. Yeah, no, you see, I don't think they do, because it is a clear cut. It's a clear cut issue. Either your gap was too big or it's too small. Because at the end of the day, if let's say, because every single measurement tool has some limit of accuracy, so this is starting to get really technical. So effectively, I think what the teams would say is you should set up your rear wing flap to be at the lower bound of whatever measurement tool you're using, so that you cannot be outside the range. You might therefore lose time, so that's why teams would completely ignore that, because you're going to, again, be losing hundredths over the course of a lap. So has this DRS thing been all season? Well, there was some debate about that. As I was saying a minute ago, I don't know if you've just joined or not, but as I was saying a minute ago, that there was some news about Red Bull handing over a lot of documents to the stewards and the FIA to look at regarding it. So, it's very much possible that this could be going on longer because there's bigger ramifications. It's incredibly unlikely, but it's not out of the question that car could be deemed illegal for the last few races. If they have indeed got a flexible wing that falls outside the rules, then they haven't got much of a leg to stand on there, because the rules were tightened earlier on in the season when Mercedes had issues with Red Bull flexi wings. So yeah, I mean, look, this could go any way, and to be honest, I wouldn't put money on anything. Personally, in my opinion, I love Max win the championship this season. With what happens to Silverstone, it would feel sort of like justice. This luck for Hamilton sort of ruins for. Yeah, absolutely. I'm in the situation where I'm not particularly fussed who wins the championship, to be honest. Well, apart from Lando, obviously. Let's get him in. Let's disqualify the Mercedes and the Red Bull and just let McLaren and Ferrari fight for the constructors and let Lando claim the World Drivers' Championship. I'll be all right. But no, I'm in the boat where I really don't mind too much who is champion this season. So I just want it. I've said this for ages. I just want it to go down to the last race and last lap, last corner at Abu Dhabi. Whichever way it turns out, I'm not particularly fussed. But I think that's what we all want to see. We don't want to see the title decided on Twitter, basically. Yeah. It's interesting. I'll have a quick another look, and if anyone has sort of any questions they'd like to ask about it at all, I'll go on. I'm firmly on the Verstappen bandwagon. Yeah, I think a lot of people are. And yeah, it's like we've had a lot more views during this actually. So something that's floating around actually, it's sort of a conspiracy theory we brought up a minute ago is. There is genuine debate to say with this video, actually, if I go back to, I want Chris Medland, there we go. So there is this video of Max touching the wing. Oh no, this was on Luke actually, wasn't it? Oh, that's right, spelled Luke. There we go. There is this video of Max touching the wing. Go just here. So he is actually touching the wing, and Mercedes could have a leg to stand on when they say, "Well, hang on, how do you know that this has been done completely fairly? How do you Yeah, it's a big debate. Like I say, anyone got any opinions or anything they'd like to ask in the chat, absolutely go for it. Any form of like or subscription as well would mean the absolute world to me. But I'm guessing it was just a little bit more, just sort of head through sort of what we know so far. So yeah, we have been told that it's no decision until the morning. What's this one from Autosport? It's been deleted, I think. Yeah, it's been deleted. So not too sure on that one. Maybe a typo. All I really want is Alonso to win another world championship. I would love that as well. To be fair, I think that would be quite a fun one. Because he's had a pretty good season this year, actually. Obviously not title winning by any means, but he's shown to an extent he's still very much able to do it. Yeah, like I say, so it really is interesting because so what we have here is I'm going to go back to this because I know a lot more people have just joined. So apart from the uppermost rear wing element, adjustable positions of car number 44, so that's of course Lewis Hamilton's car. All the above items are found to be in conformity with the FIA technical regs. Obviously keywords there being apart from the uppermost rear wing. So is that confirmation that rear wing is not legal? And that's a great question. So here's the developing story Hamilton investigation to wait for further evidence. So there's Autosport. And like I said, we've just got to wait further. What have we got? It seems a bit petty to presume that Verstappen's touching the wing. You see, that's the thing. I don't think for a second that it has. But Mercedes can say, well, look, it passed scrutineering from the last couple of races. It's the same spec wing. We've shipped that straight from, oh, God, where were we last week? It's too late. Straight from Mexico. God. And look, they probably inspected. They inspected Bottas's car as well. I know that for a fact. Thing with Max touching the wing is unless there's proof he actually did tamper with it, both teams can argue. Exactly, both teams can argue each way, and that's where you're going to have debate. Because where there's debate for an issue and where you have the argument, it's very likely you can't give out a tens of millions of dollars decision. Look, he hasn't tampered the wing, but who's to say... Look, this is Mercedes' argument. I'm playing devil's advocate as Mercedes here. Who's to say, oh, well, when he touched the wing, just inspecting it, he didn't mean to. We're not accusing him for anything. But when he touched it, maybe after the last couple of races, it was wearing down just a little bit. And all it needed was one touch the wrong way. It's not designed to be touched from the back. They can say that much. And that's where Max touched it from. You have that issue. Now, it's Hamilton FIA is in love with him. Might have a fine for the team, but never. No, you see, that's the thing. That is not possible with the sporting regs. They can't fine the team for an illegal car. What do you think? Yeah, no, that's the thing. Max has not touched the car. Like he has not tampered with or broken the car, but Mercedes can argue to say that it broke it when he touched it. It broke. They're like, well, it was perfectly fine on track, so I don't know how it's broken now. That's what their argument can be. It's a massive technicality, but that's what their argument could be. So I'm gonna have a quick look around and see if there's any more comments from anyone going around. And that's saying, someone say if they have to wait till the morning, then it must be bad. And that's the thing. If they're awaiting further evidence here, which they are, the stewards are awaiting further evidence. I'll quickly get this up. Stewards are awaiting further evidence. We won't get an answer for another, I'd say, 7-8 hours. We've got a chat. I just feel like Max had some horrible luck this year with Azerbaijan. Absolutely. Silverstone, absolutely. And Bottas crashing into him in Hungary. Yeah, absolutely as well. Would just feel fair for it to happen to us. Yeah. And then stewards will call BS to it. Watch Max get disqualified from championship for that, knowing the FRA. Why do you think it's taking so long for the... Right, so we think it's taking so long for the verdict. Unless this means that they have found something else. Well, that's another thing. There's two things here. Either... It's a massive decision, and because, again, we are talking tens of millions of dollars here, and, maybe even hundreds when we get into the realms of sponsorship, for this decision. They need to be 100% sure that if they give a penalty here, it's the right call, and it's not costing Mercedes a ton of money unfairly. But equally, they can't allow Mercedes... to use an illegal car because it's costing Red Bull millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions unfairly. So this is something that they absolutely, at this stage in the season, need to be 100% sure of. Look, to me personally, I feel like this is a... Mercedes are trying to say, look, you've looked at this rear wing before, and it was fine. If Max get any sorts of penalisation for the wing touch, he won't get a penalty for the wing touching. That will not happen. What would be an issue? It won't be Wingate. Absolutely Wingate. He wouldn't get a penalty for touching wing, but it could somewhat falter Joe Bauer's referral to the stewards for it. Anything else? Right, okay, I have actually found a video. Ada 06 MESE. There is a video apparently showing the scrutineers fitting an 85mm circle through the rear wing opening, proving that the rear wing was indeed illegal. It's absolutely on the rear wing. Obviously engine on so they can open up the flap. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that's really... Can we actually see anything there? I'm not sure if it's... Well, I think it's on the right-hand side, I think we're looking. Up here, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Is that being able to fit through it, though? I can't see that having gone through. Like, we can't tell from this video I assume that's just a little 85mm circle to prove it's gone through. And the fact that they've checked it in two separate areas. We're checking that right there. And then checking there as well. I don't see the point in checking it twice because it has to be uniform across the whole wing. So if it hasn't gone through in one place, unless it's then gone through somewhere else on the wing. Okay, this is an interesting one. Because yeah, the wings have to be uniform. You can't... Oh, I don't know. They've checked it in two separate locations. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it means if it's gone through one place, you don't need to check it again, do you? And we can't tell if it has gone through from that video. Alright. That's an interesting one. Yeah, you see, where is the ball? Oh, I've got... So I feel like the rules are so clear-cut. If it's more than 85mm and it's a breach of regulations, where's the grey area? You know, there is no grey area. So this is, to pardon the pun, it's an open and shut case with DRS. I feel like I don't want to ruin a championship battle. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think... Yeah. Where's the ball? I feel like I hope I pointed it out. That's what I'm confused about too. I know they have to be extra careful with decisions, but if the 85mm went through the wing, it's illegal. Surely it's not a debate. For the Red Bull, it's a Verstappen. Championship is irrelevant when it comes to breach of regulations, or it should be, absolutely. It should be illegal if it's 85mm one place. Oh god, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, if it goes through anywhere, it's an illegal part. But let's go back to that. Let's get back to this. So I think that's what they're I think that just there is what it is, because I think that is absolutely what they're checking, isn't it? That's where they're checking it. And if it's not a uniform wing, then I think that effectively goes against the regulations anyway. So if it doesn't go through one place and goes through another, then you know they're probably in trouble there by itself. Obviously, and you know, I don't know where the rules stand on if when they sent that car out, it didn't have an issue. But when Lewis ran over the curb at the exit of turn 4 and it validated his lap, you know, who's to say that didn't damage the wing? You know, there's a lot of force going through those cars. There's, you know, it's mostly the same parts that we used in Mexico. You've got some wear, probably hastily actually applied to the car, given the freight issues that the team suffered this weekend. Who's to say that it wasn't broken? I don't know where the rules stand on that, because we've seen, cars in races race with effectively illegal side pods or floors if they've been crashed into early on and they've completed the race with no issue. So I don't know where the rules stand on that, to be completely honest. Let's head back to the chat. Is it for last race or whole season? I assume you mean the wing, Richie. They've used that wing for the whole season, I assume you mean? They would not have used this wing for the whole season. They'd have, they probably used a different wing in Mexico, to be fair. Actually, no, I take that back. It would have been a similar one, because it's Mexico. You run fairly high downforce because of the thinner air. Wait, is it less than 85mm or less than or equal to? That is a great point. And I think to get it exact to 85.00000 millimeters would be incredibly impressive. FIA is all about the money, though. By ruining the championship, they're going to lose. Well, that is a thing, Think how many millions of viewers they're going to lose if this championship's decided now. Not saying that should be something that they have in their mind, and I'm not saying that it necessarily is. But can you imagine, the economic loss of opportunity that would have been there? If it did break during the race or move, surely it's still... No, yeah, no, you see, no, that's the thing, though. We have seen in races before. Yeah, exactly. If it passed pre-quali scrutineering and not the post-scrutineering, I can see why the FIA... Yeah, exactly. If that part was proved legal, if they can show it's the same spec, the same wing that they had at Mexico, and it was proved legal, then they can say, well, look, something must have happened on the track. Because it was fine before, you've scrutineered it before, and it was fine. So... that's my thinking behind this, because they say the stewards, so no decision from the FIA until the morning for anyone who's still here, expecting a decision very, very soon. We're looking at a decision 8 or 9 hours, I imagine, because Brazil is 3 hours behind us in the UK. Stewards are waiting further evidence. So that further evidence could be a case of finding old forms, or just general evidence that it's the same part, it's the same, same part, same spec. And that's what's really interesting about this. Because, yeah, if it passed pre-quali scrutineering, if that part has passed scrutineering before, then they have something to argue. I feel like a good punishment is that he gets no points for this race, and this race only. Any other punishment will be too much for a championship battle. God, has a good point about needed proof of failed... Well, that's true as well. I think they're going to review the places where Lewis could have... Exactly. I think that's very much possible as well. There's a lot of things that I think we've sort of covered in this so far. Has Horner had any comment about this? No. I don't believe so. I have not seen a comment from Christian Horner or Red Bull or any other team for that matter. It's just going to be checking more of Twitter, see if there's anything else that we've missed. So something, I can see more people are joining again, so I do want to chuck out the fun conspiracy theory for everyone that's joining, that Mercedes could potentially have a leg to stand on through this, saying... And I'm not saying that Max has, done anything with the wing, but he is clearly touching the wing. He is inspecting the wing. And if they can say, oh, well, maybe if he, pushed it the wrong way, something snapped, and now the rear wing, it's not right anymore. Who are the FIA to say, oh, that's not right? Unless there's concrete evidence, that's the thing here. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars and the World Drivers and World Constructors Championship at the same time here. That's what's being decided at the moment. Because we could see tomorrow morning the championship decided, effectively. If Hamilton's got a pit lane start and that 5-place grid penalty, of course, that's it. That's the championship battle over. Even a Verstappen DNF and he should be okay. Oh my god, Wingate will be trending soon. Yeah, very good chance. I've got Nikita Mazepin trending instead at the moment. I'm very upset Nikita Mazepin for that matter. I feel like... I mean, actually, yeah, you know what? I want to point out an alternate view on this. And something that I haven't mentioned for quite some minutes, and I know people are coming and going. I have seen reports that seniors of Red Bull basically gave a ton of data, a big report to the stewards and the FIA regarding the Mercedes rear wing flexing. So this could be one of those coincidence things of Max is, he's just sort of looking at the rear wing, seeing what's different, if they have got anything that would allow it to flex, anything that's different to the Red Bull rear wing. And, then it just happens that the gap in the rear wing was too big. It's just a coincidence. So, there's potentially two fronts for an idea of a penalty here. Oh, wait, they did that to Hamilton's car. What about Bottas? Sorry, what? Sorry, Hanson, I'm not entirely sure what bit you mean. It's not over even if Hamilton's been... No, of course it's not. Of course it's not. But it's a long road back, because we're looking at a potential for tomorrow. Is we get Hamilton P1, Bottas P2, Verstappen P3. Let's say that happens. You've got Hamilton pulling 2 points back on Verstappen with his so far in his race with a five place grid penalty, and then let's say Bottas manages to win the race. He keeps Max behind him for the race after beating him in sprint quali. That's only 18 points for Max. Hamilton fights his way up from 6th place to 3rd in the race, and he only loses 3 points in the race itself, so only 1 point lost overall. Then we head to the Qatar, which, okay, yep, fair enough, should probably be a Red Bull track on the face of it. But then we've got Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi, which should be Mercedes tracks. I'm feeling bold enough to say. Are they going to penalise this track? Yeah, okay, I see what you mean. Bottas's car went through a full scrutineering after Mexico. His car was chosen for a complete full scrutineering, and they found nothing wrong. They said everything on the car is legal. So Bottas's car, as far as we're aware, after the last race, assuming he's using the same parts, are completely legal, and we have seen absolutely nothing suggesting that Bottas is under investigation at the moment. What team are you supporting? Is that to me? Because for me in this situation, neither. I am perfectly happy with whoever wins the championship this year, as long as it goes to the final race. So in a way, I am sort of hoping there's not a penalty for Hamilton, because I just want it to go to the last race. I'm seeing plenty of accidents at the Saudi Grand Prix, potentially. I mean, at the moment, the track's not even complete, so that's assuming we have a Saudi Grand Prix. He'd lose none for a P3 finish, plus 3 from the sprint race. He'd level out Verstappen. Yeah, well, yeah, you see, if he gets the win in the sprint race, Verstappen, let's say P3, or even P2, he has a 1 point advantage. Then let's say he gets fastest lap and 3rd place in the race, manages to beat Checo, and put himself up into 3rd place. Then, look, it's very possible. And taking a penalty, having taken a penalty, ensuring that you're going to finish the rest of the races this season, that's I think the right thing to do on balance. And it's a very good outcome, taking a penalty and still coming out just as many points behind as you were before, because then you're set up for the rest of the season really well. If Hammer's penalised here and Saudi GP is cancelled, their championship is all in for Verstappen. Absolutely it is. If Lewis gets a penalty in the sprint, obviously his 5-place grid penalty, Bottas is yeeting Max into a wall. I did say that when I first saw this. It's like, the prospects of Bottas doing another Hungary has skyrocketed in the last hour. Imagine Lewis will get a penalty, start at the back, and still they collide. Remember still, yeah, that's the thing. 100% crash rates at the sprint races so far. Hamilton penalty or no? At the moment, the decision is not going to be made until the morning. We're looking at about 7-8 hours, I imagine, because Brazil is 3 hours behind us in the UK. If he gets a penalty, it's going to kill him. Tires will burn with overtaking. Have to put off the street. Absolutely. Yep. And that's what I mean, you know, a pit lane start here, best in the sprint race. I think it's only about 27 laps or so. At best, he's going to end up, like, I'll give some leeway. At best, like 10th place, starting from the pit lane. Yeah, at best 10th, and then, you know, you're looking at potentially in the race itself, moving yourself into, you know, top 4, top 3. But by that point, Max is probably going to beat Bottas through, you know, course of the season so far. Christian Horner naked in a Superman cape dancing, reading all these tweets. Yeah, he hasn't made any comment as far as I'm aware, nor has any other team or any representatives from Red Bull or the like. I'm late. What are the bullet points here? Yeah, let's give a quick summary, actually, because, you know, we haven't got... You know, I do need to sleep at some point. It's 1:30 in the morning. If he gets penalised, then the race will most likely be decided with pit stop strategies if he moves through the field quite well. I mean, yeah, but field spread is a massive issue with these regulations. Do not get me started on these aero regulations. I'm praying next year works. Busy partying. Christian Horner is. Yeah, so a quick summary for what I've got. I'll give it one more read through, and then we'll probably call it a day, or just, you know, have a quick chat with chat for a bit. So obviously a bad pun. That's how we start off all of this. Seems like an open and shut case to me about DRS. Hamilton is under investigation for DRS infringement during qualifying. Mercedes will meet with the stewards. That ended about 2 hours ago now. Then we see, after qualifying, Max inspecting the rear wing on Hamilton's Mercedes W12, walking away rather dejected, having just been beaten by 4/10. Then we see this. We get the Mercedes delegation left the stewards' office about 15 minutes ago. We wait quietly. And then we get, someone found an old tweet. It became Wednesday for Europeans. Then we see this. So the FIA sent a document. Apart from the uppermost rear wing element, adjustable positions of car number 44, see document 18, all the above items were found to be in conformity with the 2021 FIA Formula 1 technical regulations, implying that the rear wing did not pass scrutineering. So Joe Bauer sent them to the stewards. No decision from the FIA until the morning. That was 35 minutes ago. So again, like I say, 7 or 8 hours we're probably looking at until any decision is made, and then probably a little bit longer till it's publicised as well. And rightio, this is new. Okay, so could this be the Max Verstappen touching the rear wing? Right, I'm going to give this a read because it's not zoomed in enough. I'm going to read it out loud from my phone. We are seeing, if this is a joke, I'm going to hit someone. So from the stewards, document 23, date 12th November, time 10:10, that's Brazilian time. To the team manager, Red Bull Racing Honda, quote, the driver and team representative are required to report to the stewards at 9:30 on Saturday, 13th of November, in relation to the incident below. 33. Max Verstappen alleged breach of Article 2.5.1 of the FIA International Sporting Code. And as far as I'm aware, that is touching or tampering with another team's car. So I may have been right in the discussion about that video giving Mercedes a leg to stand on. Okay, well, I thought I was about to round off the stream, but this has got a little bit more exciting. Article 2.5.1 is inside the Parc Ferme. Only officials assigned may enter. No operation, checking, tuning or repair is allowed unless authorised by the same officials or by the applicable regulations. So as a matter of fact, we have seen in this video, Max Verstappen has, for all intensive purposes, broken the sporting code with this 3-second touch of the wing. I don't think WoW's going to cover this. Yeah, and Seb's touched other cars in Parc Ferme as well, but I don't think any of those parts were then deemed to be illegal. And that's obviously what the big difference is here. Okay, so thank you to James from Mercedes Instagram. I'm going to quickly load that up myself as well. We have seen breaches of sporting code before, such as Hamilton wearing the Black Lives Matter shirts instead of team-sponsored gear. It can be something like that, and he was sentenced. He was sent to the stewards under investigation for that, which he technically did break. But just because you break it doesn't mean you get a penalty. I imagine though this is going to be a stronger penalty than wearing a shirt. Don't tell me both Max and Lewis will get it. Lewis and Max starting from the grid lane would be hilarious. Grid lane? Starting from the pit lane would make it exciting. That's for sure. Wow, this has got a bit more interesting. Yeah, I like I said, yeah, it's going to be a reprimand at most, I imagine. It's interesting. Definitely interesting. Let's quickly open up the Mercedes AMG F1 Instagram. So yeah, team update. Stewards have adjourned the hearing relating to the investigation into the DRS of car 44. Adjourned is not dismissed. No decision will be taken overnight as the FIA await evidence that will not be available until the morning. The rear wing assembly of the number 44 W12 will be impounded overnight. So there's a lot more investigation to go on there. I assume they'll be checking if it's damaged in any way. And it is interesting to see Max sentenced to stewards. I don't think I've certainly in my time watching F1 the last 10 15 years, well not 15, I wasn't 4, like 10 12 years watching F1, I don't think I've ever seen that happen, and that's very interesting. The issue is, because it's probably been deemed to be an illegal part, the question's going to be, was the issue caused... Well, this feels like a crime investigation. Well, for all intensive purposes, to be fair, stewards' decisions are a bit like crime investigations. Like that is, to an extent, what they are. But instead of murdering, it's breaking something. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, but the DRS is opened by a mechanism. If the FIA just, see the distant... that mechanism set to open, would that be sufficient? Why do they need to be like Max? Well, the issue is, I think they've just called Max in for that. Not to say that he broke it, just to say, look, you can't touch their car. I don't know. I don't know about that. There's not enough information, and I've never seen it before. Yeah, my whole time watching F1, I've never seen that before, so that's interesting. But yes, so the DRS is opened by a mechanism. If the FIA see a distant mechanism set to open, wouldn't that be sufficient? Well, not necessarily, because if it passed like pre-session scrutineering and that part was deemed legal, then they have a leg to stand on to say that it broke out on track where the rules are different. Because like I say, in races before, Vettel won his 2012 championship at Brazil after being spun by Bruno Senna at the start. He won the championship with half a floor. Like, he wouldn't have been allowed to start the race with that floor because it would have been deemed illegal. What's the most likely outcome of Max getting called in? Realistically reprimand, unless it's proven that he did something, which he probably didn't. Just came in here, someone give me a rundown. We're going to be ending in just a moment. I'd recommend you sort of go back 10-15 minutes. You know what? Yeah, okay. We'll go over it one more time. And then we'll look to round off. So we hear about 3 hours ago, Hamilton investigation for the DRS infringement during qualifying. We then see, risks qualifying exclusion, because if the part's deemed illegal, the car's deemed illegal, therefore excluded from the session, and they'd have to change the part, therefore pit lane start. The penalty itself won't be pit lane start; it will be lap deleted, therefore starting from P20. But obviously they'll have to change the rear wing, which breaks parc fermé because it's a different setup then, which means it'll be a pit lane start. So the penalty itself won't be pit lane start; it will be relegated to the back of the grid, but then of course Mercedes will have to take a pit lane start to change rear wing. Mercedes will meet with the stewards at 7:15 in Brazil, so in just 15 minutes. That was one of the first bits. And then we have this video that Max has been called to the stewards for tomorrow at did I say 3 hours? Brazil was 3 hours, wasn't it? So that's at 12:30 local time. Okay, that seems a little odd. No, not 12:30 local, 12:30 UK time. That's when I'm getting confused. 9:30 local time, 12:30 UK time. So for anyone in the UK, that's when you can expect to hear something on that front. Most likely going to be a reprimand, but he has been sentenced to the stewards, or summoned to the stewards for this, for touching that rear wing, which may have later have been deemed illegal. Look, you can see he's clearly, giving it a bit of a nudge. Mercedes could say, "Oh, well, look, you broke it, mate." He didn't, probably, but. So then we get this. Mercedes delegation left the steward's office about 15 minutes ago. We wait quietly. That's about 2 hours ago, just over 2 hours ago. As if someone found yeah. Then it became Wednesday. And here we go. So this is one of the main things we've got from the FIA. Apart from the uppermost rear wing element adjustable positions of car number 44, so Lewis Hamilton's car, the Mercedes W12, all the above items were found to be in conformity with the 2021 Formula 1 technical regulations. So, everything on that car is legal, apart from the upper bound of how big the gap in the DRS can be, effectively, simply put. Then no decision from the FIA until the morning. Stewards awaiting further evidence. And, that's where we've got until, dramatically, 12 minutes ago, Max Verstappen has been summoned to the stewards for breaking the sporting code. So, interesting. And the sporting code is taken quite seriously as well. So, if it's deemed that he did anything wrong, he will face a hefty penalty and fine if he is deemed to do anything wrong. It's all getting a little bit dramatic, isn't it? It's a sprint race. Seb touched so many cars, never got a penalty. Correct. But none of those parts were ever deemed to be illegal, thus no investigation necessary, I'd imagine. Just came in, yeah, I've seen that one. I've been watching F1 since 2010. I haven't seen anything like this before. No, I haven't either. I've been watching about the same, since about roughly the same period, 2008, 2009. Yeah, but through the car telemetry, can't mechanics see the change in... Well, yeah, I think that's what the further evidence is going to be looking at. I reported I did every little thing. Yeah, potentially. But at the end of the day, we could be talking a tenth of a millimetre, and that's something that's, if it's a tenth of a millimetre, it's hardly going to even save you a thousandth over the course, maybe a couple of thousandths over the course of a lap, and it's not going to change the data too dramatically. At all, actually. It would barely change the data that the teams are receiving. Thanks, mate. Yeah, no worries at all. Max was trying to fix it to give Ham a chance in the race. He's trying to fix it. I like that idea. Yeah, Max was summoned to the stewards for the rear wing touch. Yep. FIA about to catch these hands if they penalise Max. It's all got a little bit dramatic, hasn't it? It's something with sprint races. Statistically speaking, we've got a 100% chance of them crashing into each other on Sunday as well. So, can't wait for the drama of that. I'm going to have one more look to see if anything pops up. Fortunately, this is a Friday night, so if anything does pop up, I can keep talking about it. But, yeah, no uni lectures tomorrow, thankfully. I genuinely can't get over the race fans headline: Verstappen faces investigation for touching Hamilton's car in parc fermé. It's crazy. I've never seen this before. Can't wait to see Gunter summon to stewards after video evidence comes through of him. Of him Fox smashing the rear wing. Fair play, fair play. Oh god. Right. I think that about covers it. If you guys could like or subscribe or anything, I haven't actually done this before. I haven't really gone live with like developing news, but it's actually been quite fun. I've quite enjoyed this. I might do it more often. If Max gets a penalty, he should just crash into the back of Ham and say, "You think I broke your rear wing once? I'll do it again." James getting Wingate trending still. Why couldn't Max have just looked but not touched? Exactly. That's what I reckon Christian Horner's giving him a bollocking for right now. But yeah, overall, I think that about does it. Yeah, I've got some commentaries coming up this weekend for some esports stuff, so I reckon that should about do us. Like I say, look, for everyone still here. News, so the Verstappen, I imagine that's going to be... I might go live again in the morning, actually. Or about midday, morning for Brazil time. Yeah, I wouldn't be either if they both started from the back. Yeah, so I might go back live tomorrow to cover whatever's going on. Because we do have a couple of stewards' decisions definitely going on at the moment. Obviously, we have Max under investigation, and we have Hamilton's car under investigation as well. Max for touching the rear wing, and Hamilton's car for the rear wing incident itself. As long as Checo wins. I think everyone wanted that in Mexico. Right, let's go here. This is a video that probably a lot of newer people won't have seen. So there's an 85mm disc being put through the rear wing. You can just see it there. It's going to be moved. There you go. Right there. To me, I can't see if that's gone completely through or not because we don't have a side-on view. By the way, that's on Ada06 MESE's account, just so they don't shout at me. And there you go, so you can see. But the thing is here, it's been checked in 2 locations, and since it has to be uniform, the rear wing, it has to be completely straight there, the flap and the actual gaps themselves. I don't understand why you check it in 2 places. If it goes through in 1 place, it's illegal. That's how it works. So I don't know if we could read anything from the fact that it's checked 2 or 3 times. I don't personally see the point in it, but better safe than sorry, I imagine. Right. Okay, all good. Yeah, I imagine, guys. Thank you all for... I know some of you have been here for the last hour now, so, massive thank you for being here. I'm going to politely ask for... look, guys, I've stayed awake until 1:45 for you. If you could just hit that subscribe button or something, it wouldn't be too bad, No, but yeah, I might go back live tomorrow morning, or about midday UK time, and talk a little bit more about this, because the Verstappen decision should happen around... so he's into the stewards at 9:30 in the morning, local time in Brazil. So... I'm going to say stewards broke wing whilst measure. Well, there's another thing. There's so many things that they can argue. And when we're talking a whole championship here... Yeah, it's just Max is like, he hasn't had great luck this season. He checks it and it breaks, which would be a penalty for himself, of course. A hefty penalty for effectively breaking another part of your opponent's car. Deliberate or not. Obviously not deliberate. He didn't... That was very clearly not someone deliberately breaking apart, but anyway, so the Verstappen decision should come out 9:30 local time Brazil, or 12:30 UK time. That's when he's going in. So let's say 20 minutes to half hour for decision. We're looking at about 1 o'clock by the time we get a decision on Verstappen. And there has been absolutely no comment on when the discussions with Hamilton's rear wing will resume. They've just said the morning. So I imagine it'll be about the same time, and I think those investigations may coincide quite a bit. I can only see Max getting fined. Yeah, you know, the thing is, unless he's deemed to break the part, it will be a reprimand. But if Mercedes have evidence that he's broken the part, he will get a penalty. Intent or not, he's touched the car. If it broke doing that, he will get a penalty. And I imagine quite a harsh one at that. Yep, good stream, man. Sleep well. Good night. Yep, thank you guys, you too, all of you. Merck should pay for Red Bull's whole car from Silverstone. Yeah, and I think they'd Red Bull would quite like payment for Hungary as well. As with McLaren for that matter. But yeah, so cheers guys. Yeah, thank you a lot for being in. I think I'll do some more of these streams. It's been quite good actually. Saves you all refreshing Twitter every 5 minutes. Yeah, all right, brilliant. So hopefully see some of you guys tomorrow. I'll be back on unless I sleep through all of it, which is, you know, probably quite likely actually. One last refresh. Nothing. Oh, for God's sake. Max Verstappen given race steward summons Brazil over potential rule breach. Okay, so that's just this bit. That's what we've already seen. This is nothing new. We're going to give one check to Toby, see if he's got anything. No, he's not been actively tweeting this. And we'll give a look at Chris Medland as well. Just to see if there's anything else. 10 minutes ago, Max Verstappen has been summoned. Parc Fermé. Only the officials assigned may enter. No operation checking, tuning or repair is allowed unless authorised by the same officials. And you know, to an extent, he has broken that rule, but other drivers have before. It just wasn't on a part that's broken. So that's why it's different this time round. Verstappen's been summoned for allegedly breaching that article of the FIA International Sporting Code. And British press bias. Okay, yeah, we're not going to get into that debate. Should we have a quick read of this one? It's probably stuff we've already covered, but so there's a good thread here. Video going around for Verstappen checking the rear wings in Parc Fermé, and the longer this goes on and doesn't appear so clear-cut, I genuinely think if you're Mercedes, you're going to be asking if he touched a wing that could change anything. That's what I've mentioned earlier on in the stream right near the start. Just to be very clear, this isn't an accusation aimed at Max. Nope. I don't think anyone's saying he broke it on purpose, that's for sure. I don't think the stewards will either. Put it this way, I dropped a hire car off once I thought was fine, but the hire car company didn't check when I dropped it off. They then claimed that it's damaged. I successfully argued, yep. Obviously know that it's a very big likelihood that the damage occurred under my watch without me. No, okay, right, he's just talking about his rental car now. This should have been a clear and obvious decision. Oh god, we're getting to VAR realms now. But it's dragging overnight, so Mercedes is obviously arguing something, which I imagine, given Verstappen was called to the stewards, that's what they'll be arguing, in which case they probably have lost this, I imagine. And I imagine a penalty is coming their way unless Verstappen is found to be at fault for any damage, really. And when I saw the Max video, my first thought was that this is what Mercedes was trying to argue. Mine as well, even if it clearly wasn't tampering with it. Exactly right. Me and Chris Medland were just on the same page here. So to be very clear to anyone taking it the wrong way, the whole point of this is all I took from that was your hire car, really. Right here, what's gone everywhere? Most favourables. Yep, thanks for the stream. Good night. Conveniently deck 19 points. Actually, I don't think they can penalise Max for that because they did set a precedent that they haven't penalised him. Yeah, I mean, they do have a... Yeah, that's what I mean. They have a precedent that they don't penalise people for it, but if it's shown to have impacted the car in any way, then it's different. That's why I think that that's Mercedes' main argument. If they prove the part is not damaged in any way, then it's not at fault. Absolutely, yeah. Okay, cheers guys. I'm going to round off. Probably see you guys, or hopefully see some of you guys tomorrow. And yeah, thank you all for being so good in the chat, and I hope you all have a good night. See ya.